Hi guys, welcome back. So it looks like what's happened about the margin call since last Friday. It's not over yet because of the domino effects it's creating and it's still affecting the market. So let's go over the market first. In the morning, Nasdaq opened up high, giving a lot of false hope. And then it went down quickly in the morning to be as low as dropping 1.3%. So that's why in the morning I sent to the Discord that Nasdaq was trying to get above the 5-day moving average and push through the 20-day moving average at some point, but got rejected by it. You see, 20-day moving average is 13,145 and today we reached a high of 13,143. And I said I expect the support to be still holding it. So when we reach the support level around 12,900 to 13,000, we bounce back up. So that's why we see the whole day was like a roller coaster because it was kind of deciding a direction and we have no idea where it wants to go next because it's just above the support, below the resistance, making small range movement without choosing a direction, giving a lot of bull trap, false hope, and also bear trap. So that's why on a day like this, I would rather just sit tight and do nothing. Back to the daily chart. As I've said these weeks, since we are staying above this level of support, so we do still expect index to be moving still up and down within this range. So this support is kind of critical. Something to notice is that in the morning, we saw that all the three index opened up high. They were all in the green zone and yet the VIX was also up at the same time. This is unusual because usually the VIX is the opposite of the index. It's volatility of the S&P 500 and today the S&P 500 was basically flat, dropping 0.09% and Dow Jones were even up and yet the VIX index is up near 10%. I think this might be the market responding to what happened last Friday to be precise. The big Korean investment institution that had the margin call. And I think this news got quite fermented over the weekend and we see the result of the volatility on Monday. So the Korean investment fund, Archegos Capital Management, had this margin call incident. The cause was because he was using high leverage with concentrated portfolio. They went heavy into a few stocks. And when the heavy position stock had a big dip and they were forced to sell out a lot of the other stocks they were holding also quite heavy, such as Baidu, Tencent Music, VIPS, and iQIYI. So that was the main cause of how a lot of these Chinese stocks can drop so much. It says they were forced to sell 10 million shares of Baidu at the price of 185. So that's why we see Baidu had dropped over 30% in a few days, even after the big fall from the top already, making this whole fall to be 50% from the highest to the lowest on Friday. Baidu is considered one of the FANG stocks in Chinese stocks. And for a giant to drop 50% like this, it's very unusual. So because the rumors, the news got out, and once the hedge fund and other institutions know that someone needs to sell out that many shares of Baidu at a low cost, then what they do is, of course, they will try to sell it out before everyone, as early as possible, before the big fall, and then at the same time short the stock to drive it down even further and wait on the sideline until the big money start to buy in the dip. Because 10 million shares of Baidu times the price of $185 is equivalent to $1.85 billion. $1.85 billion compared to the total market cap of Baidu before the drop recently of around 85 billion would be around 2% of Baidu's market cap. So selling 2% of Baidu's market cap value of stocks had caused Baidu to drop 30%, around $25 billion. So we see it doesn't make much sense, does it? It's because hedge funds and institutions are trying to take advantage of this and blow it up to be bigger. We see here it says the Archegos margin call incident had caused global banks loss of more than $6 billion US. So that's why the bank's stocks were driven down. Like Morgan Stanley was down 2.6%, Goldman Sachs was down 1.7%, etc. But still, the loss of $6 billion is just a small part of how much Baidu's market cap has vanished to be about $25 billion. So the whole incident of this margin call is really acting like a black swan news right now, driving a lot of the Chinese stocks diving down even further than they already were. So the domino effect created by this black swan news might not be over yet, because we might see some institutions continue selling off these stocks, and other institutions who want to buy the dip, catch the falling knives, or save these stocks from dipping further, they would need to sell out other stocks they're holding, and it would affect other stocks to drive further down, right? So this is why the domino effect is not over yet, and we might still see some stocks breaking the support, driving down further. This is something we need to be aware of and watch out for, but I don't think it's something we need to panic too much over, because every market correction in the past had some kind of black swan news, right? For example, we all know the COVID driving all the index down like a crash. And then on this day in April, it was the negative oil price. That looks scary enough, right? And then here in June, it was the second wave of the COVID exploding again. And here says the tech stocks grew too much, needed to do some correction in September. And this was driven by the fear of the uncertainties of the election, when there were so much rumors about how the election might be unclear, the votes would be too similar, and the result might be dragged to a year later, and it would cause a lot of the effects on the economy. And then this day on November 9, it was the news of the vaccine from Pfizer. So the market sentiments were all about how the tech stocks that benefit from the COVID would drop from now on. Some people might think that all the increase from the COVID would drop at least back to before the COVID happened, at least, right? And then later on in January, it was the Wall Street bets had drive a lot of the hedge funds to sell out their position because they got short squeeze. And that's why it had huge spike of selling volume on that day. Remember? That was quite scary as well. But overall, there were so many black swan, there were so many incidents that happened unexpected. But when we look back, they were all nothing but a healthy correction. And this time is the margin call. Isn't it normal to have margin for institutions? Sure, maybe they have used more leverage than the others, and they are more concentrated in their portfolio. But are they the only one with concentration in portfolio? It's a common strategy. I remember Bill Ackman is quite famous for that as well. And isn't it normal for institutions to have this margin call in a bull market? I think every bull market we see a lot of this happen. So why does the domino effect keep rolling this time? And why does the media so concentrated on this news this time? And why does it happen to be at the same time with so much drama around the Chinese stocks, along with the US and China political issue recently? Why does happen to be at the same time, and why is the media blowing it up? This is what I've been thinking about recently. But as of right now, I am quite happy about this, because at least right now we have a reason for the drop. We have someone to blame. And we have something to drive down the fear and greed index. But it's still somewhat not enough, because last time, just the Wall Street bet alone for 3 days can already drive the index down to the extreme fear level, because it's totally unexpected. It came out of nowhere. No one has seen it before. It's full of uncertainties. So people were quite worried about what's gonna happen. So let's see how much this black swan this time can be blown up even further. For now, we'll just sit tight and watch the drama. At the same time, we were quite brave to pick up a lot of the falling knives already. Like, for example, we were catching the falling knife for Baidu on Friday as well as IQ. And from what we can see, ARK Invest had also caught the falling knife for Baidu last Friday, March 26th. They bought in a few times, and it was one of the heaviest positions they bought in last Friday, while a lot of other tech stocks were dropping at the same time. So for now, if you consider this a short-term trade to catch for the rebound, you can take profit anytime, or you can set a stop profit limit. You can use today's lowest price, which was 197, or you can use the support level of this 120-day moving average. So if the following days it breaks the support here, then you can exit first or set a stop loss to be below this 120-day moving average. The 120-day moving average right now is at 205, so you can set a stop loss slightly below it. But if you consider Baidu a long-term investment, you can just leave it, because right now, with the major source of income for Baidu, the search engine business, advertisement, it is standing at the PE ratio of 20, which is considered quite low. And if you price in the future growing opportunity, which would be in the industry of artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, and autonomous drive, then the PE ratio would be a lot more in the future. So in my opinion, I think Baidu still has a lot more room to grow, and this falling knife was actually a good buying opportunity. But you can also wait for the dust to settle first, which is what a lot of the big capital are doing right now. So that's what I want to share with you today on how I interpret this black swan news, on what it would do to the market. For now, I do find it more than a coincidence for everything to happen at the same time to continue driving the market movement. The margin call, the SLR exemption from the Fed, the bond yield to increase, the China-US political issue arise. For me, I just know that we can never win by trying to time it perfectly, but at least what we can do is to overrule our emotion and to not do anything based on anxiety and panic. Okay? Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please give me a big like and write me a great comment, and I will see you tomorrow. That's it, guys. Hope you can find my videos helpful. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and give me a big like. Thank you.